guys, back on another video from Totally Not Mark. Perfect evil introductions, Dragon Ball. Now Dragon Ball Z has some awesome villains, and I always liked the way that Cell was introduced. You had all the androids and stuff, and then Piccolo's like, wait a minute, there's something else going on, and it's all really creepy and mysterious and that. I like how he was introduced, and all the other villains always have like a really cool way of being introduced, so I feel like this was gonna, well, it says perfect evil introduction, so let's see what Totally Not Mark has to say on the matter, shall we?
This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Sorry, this code's
the
really
villains of
screwed me
Dragon
up.
Ball have become some of the most memorable and recognizable in the history of anime. And one of the essential keys to success for any good villain is their reveal.
Yes.
Dragon Ball has some of the best villain introductions and reveals in the history of anime. However, not all of them are spectacular. But before I break down how these scenes work, I'd like you to cast your vote here on what your
right
favorite
there in the corner where there's nothing for you to click.
Watching this video. At the end of this video, I'll give you a second chance to cast your vote, and let's see if your opinion changes.
Okay.
I might not be as persuasive as Frieza, but I do have a decent understanding of how these scenes were written, why many of them work, and why others might not work as well. I'm Totally Not Mark, and this is Dragon Ball, Mastering the Evil Introduction.
I was told flat out I'd never obtain a single Dragon Ball, and since I've never been one to take bad news well, I'm afraid I killed him.
Oof. Sweet.
Within the first scene of a story,
Goku Black.
To judge the
So good.
Simply by noting how he handles exposition. Exposition is basically the information the audience needs in order to understand the story. Usually it's the dialogue or the action that moves the plot forward, keeping the audience on the same page as the characters on screen. For instance, in the case of Raditz, Goku's origins and the reveal of the Saiyan race is the information or exposition the audience needs to understand the story moving forward. And so, Akira Toriyama, the writer, was tasked to deliver that information in as natural a way as possible. In other words, the best kind of exposition is the exposition you don't realize you're receiving. Or at least that's what famous screenwriter Robert McKee writes in his book, Story. He says, "Never force words into a character's mouth to tell the audience about world, history, or person.
Right.
Rather, show us honest, natural scenes in which human beings talk and behave in honest, natural ways. Yet at
don't
the same
force the
time,
information out.
indirectly
Let it
pass
seem
along
natural.
the necessary facts." And funnily enough, a scene that has terrific examples of good and bad exposition can be found here. Raditz remarks, "You're all grown up, but I could tell it was you at a glance, Kakarot. My, how you look like our father." Goku mutters Kakarot to himself, confused. Raditz demands an explanation and a mission report, citing his expectations
It's like, wait a minute,
and
what's going on?
confusion. Seeing Goku still confused, Krillin decides to try and talk Raditz down, only to be met by... This is a good example of a relatively natural way of delivering dialogue. It communicates Raditz and Goku's connection visually with his tail. And most importantly, it doesn't shove information down our throats
like
in an overly clunky and somewhat condescending manner. So what comes next? Dialogue that's shoved down our throats in an overly clunky and somewhat condescending manner. It tells us the entire backstory of Raditz, the Saiyans, and Goku's origin. And it's not just Dragon Ball that has this problem. Anime is filled with this sort of exposition.
It does happen a lot.
Goku, are you nuts? That form is too much of a drain on your energy. You'll use up everything you had for your trip.
And so now that we know what makes for good dramatized exposition, let's take a look at this character.
Ooh.
My name is Perfect Cell, and I'd like to say, hello.
This is, without a doubt, one of the best villain introductions in the entire series.
Cool.
And if I want to be thorough, which I do, every subsequent introduction for his individual transformations has something to enjoy. However, if you want to learn how to introduce your villain with as little dialogue as possible, check this out. Information gets out that something suspicious is happening in Gingertown.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that at this point in the story,
We're still focused on the androids. This is what I was talking about.
Piccolo arrives on the scene.
Yes.
Dead silent.
This is what I was talking about.
The camera pans
This is
across
class.
a vacant, sprawling city, littered with random articles of clothing.
It was brilliant.
The use of camera angles and sound effects is incredibly creative and makes for a sinister atmosphere. Viewing Piccolo from across the street as if we, the audience, are peering from an alleyway. Someone is watching Piccolo. Slowly, pieces of information are fed to the audience. We hear ominous sounds like footsteps, the dragging of something across the floor, and a sinister silhouette cutting through the light from the shadows. Suddenly, Piccolo turns his head. He hears something. Suddenly, the episode becomes very quiet. The splash of water droplets echo in the ghost town. The scene progresses and slowly measured amounts of information are revealed to us until we finally see him. fade to black. This was brilliant, and
it was amazing.
Tells us a lot about Cell before he even says a word. We know that he doesn't want to be seen, can conceal his location, doesn't necessarily want anything to do with Piccolo or the other warriors, but is confident enough in his ability to confront Piccolo without the element of surprise. So he must be strong. We got all of that from cinematography. It's exceptional.
It was brilliant.
So what's next? I want to preface this by saying I don't dislike King Piccolo as a villain. I think he's fun, but his introduction might as well have been him reading from the script. But it's not all bad, so let's begin with the good. Once the World Martial Arts Tournament concludes, Krillin is found dead and alone, murdered by a strange, never-before-seen monster. Having made off with tournament competitor List and a Dragon Ball, this works as a great way to open an arc. It incites intrigue in us, the audience, and ignites rage within Goku. So, that's good. Smash cut to inside King Piccolo's ship. The first thing he says is, "If you gather all 7, any wish will be granted, eh?" He proceeds then to tell us exactly what he wants to wish for and why. This serves literally no purpose within the context of this conversation. Its only purpose is to communicate the motivations of the villain in as short a time span as possible to us, the readers or viewers specifically. For all intents and purposes, he may as well have been winking at the camera as he said it. Certainly not.
This is what I'm planning on doing.
I mean, if you think about it, if the monster that murdered Krillin, Tambourine, made off with a tournament roster and a Dragon Ball, then that means his orders would have been given to him prior to this entire conversation between King Piccolo and Pilaf. Yet, right here, Piccolo is acting as though this is the first time he's heard of it. This is lazy writing. Dealing with knotty problems of exposition so intimidates some writers that they try to get it all out of the way as soon as possible. Robert McKee. This is very much the issue with much of Toriyama's early stories. It's the exact problem with the Raditz scene. Akira Toriyama had a tendency to cram as much exposition into the first act, or even the first chapter as he could, in order to focus on other aspects of the story, like the complex and
get it out the way.
aspects of storytelling he had a natural aptitude for. This exposition faux pas affected most characters in early Dragon Ball. Raditz, Vegeta, Nappa. However, it started to fade away, leading into the Namek saga, resulting in this scene.
A valiant effort, my friend, but you will kindly answer our questions in the same language with which they were addressed to you, not this gibberish.
Now, I've touched on this scene before in this video, but man, is this scene fantastic. And it's filled with some sensational characterization for Frieza. If you didn't know him before this scene, afterwards you will know next to everything about him and what he stands for. In the past, I've brought attention to the striking similarities between this scene and the opening of Inglourious Basterds, and I stand behind this as one of Frieza's absolute best scenes. Everything from his choice of words to the inflection he uses, and the air of murder that fills the air when he starts to get annoyed. Frieza in this scene is very much playing up for the theatrics of it all.
Indeed, he was most adamant about that point. Try as we might, though, we could not get him to say more. At least, not before we decided to kill one of them.
Damn.
During this scene, we learn that Frieza is filled with self-importance. He's intelligent, and he only accepts cooperation.
If you don't help me, I will kill you.
The situation also serves as a natural means to communicate to us that he wants the Dragon Balls. It lets us know that Gohan and Krillin are in the know, and thanks to the Scouters, Vegeta is too. This is a spectacular scene that for me really ticks all the boxes, but this next one might just be better.
Ow.
It's about time, Satan.
Oh, amazing.
I can't wait to watch him die.
Amazing.
Dragon Ball Super had its ups and downs, and definitely introducing its antagonists was one of the areas in which it lacked pizzazz.
Goku Black?
Jiren was meditating in silence as people told us why he was cool. Hit was sitting there. To be clear, I don't actively dislike Hit. I'm more indifferent about him. But one character's debut that absolutely without question blew the rest of the competition out of the water was Goku Black. While other characters were given a short scene to establish themselves, Goku Black got an entire episode. And let me tell you, they made full use of that time establishing this character. From the very first scene, he's built up as this force of nature, pursuing Trunks through a
he's a danger.
Immediately, this communicates that this character is unlike anything we have seen before, and that Trunks is in dire straits. Through the runtime of this episode, we are shown the consequences his presence has wrought on this world, with no scene better encapsulating that than this one. The stage is finally set for the reveal. Standing atop his altar, above all of humanity, surrounded by flames and destruction, Trunks sits crying with the woman he loves lifeless in his arms. Goku Black is unmasked. Utterly spectacular. I wouldn't change a single thing.
Nah, so
now
good.
that we're nearing the end, I would like to invite
So
you
good.
to cast your vote a second time. Which of these 4 characters do you think had the best introduction?
Me personally, I feel like Cell's the best one.
Over the last number of decades, Dragon Ball has garnered a reputation as being an anime without any substance. However, labeling it as such is an overgeneralization in my view and does a disservice to its spectacular and carefully crafted characterization. The villains that inhabit the pages of Dragon Ball are colorful, over the top, and in some cases can be, but there is no denying that you know all of their personalities front to back. Creating gripping scenarios, scripts, and characters doesn't happen by accident. It takes careful planning and a measured approach. So in the scenes where it works, I think it's important to appreciate Akira Toriyama's evil introductions. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, man. That was a cool video. That was cool. Yeah, the intro's a boss. Like, Cell was class. Frieza, yeah. He had a way of introducing villains, man. Akira Toriyama was cool. I'll never forget the Cell one, though. It's just like, wait, what's going on? Well, the androids are the bad guys. Who's this bad guy? He's a bad guy. He's the bad guy. Duh. That was lame. But yeah. That's a cool video. I like Totally Not Mark's discussion videos on these characters and whatnot. Pretty cool. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? What did you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you want to read. Leave comments down below. Let me know if you watch us in future videos. And I'll see you guys. Next time.